This is Pete Thomas from season 2 of NBC's The Biggest Loser, giving you guys an update. This is season number 8 and week number 4 on the campus. And of course the show starts off with a little bit of hangover from last week, and we see that the orange team is talking to the purple team because, Tracy's way of doing things is a little different. She says she's got your best interest at heart and then doesn't do exactly what you'd like to see her do. And so there's some conversation about that. And then we go to the workout. I love what Julio said. Julio said some people struggle with alcohol. I eat cheeseburgers, and that's the way it is when you're struggling with your weight to that degree. You could say I have a food addiction that I have to manage, and so these contestants have to go through managing that. I thought it was neat what Jillian said also. She said the only failure you will truly have is not trying. So very, very good messages in there. Good messages in there. Of course, Dr. H, he ends up meeting with Tracy and tells Tracy, you can't do anything but breathe, and so that's a very, very interesting. And then I found it quite interesting. They were talking about the CKPs and all of that stuff. It's up to 14. What the heck are those? We don't know. It just sounds medical. I didn't even take the time to look it up. You know what I mean? So it's like, you can't work out, but they had to come up with something to say, why it's important that you not work out. Because your CPK, California Pizza Kitchen, or whatever it is, they're up to 17,000. Anyway, you couldn't work out. Coach Mo is, of course, disappointed. And then we come to Allie. Allison comes along, and she has all the contestants come into the kitchen, and they find out that the kitchen is on lockdown. I've got some extra behind-the-scenes info about that when we did the same thing on my season. Well, the kitchen is on lockdown. You have to order out each and every day. Now, the contestants for right about 3 or 4 weeks here have been doing good with their eating because it's been a confined environment. Now they've got to order out. Right. The person on the other side of that phone, when you place that order, is making like $8-9 an hour at the most. He really doesn't care if your food is cooked in oil. He doesn't care if you got a bunch of salt on it. He doesn't care if we put 4 pounds of cheese on there. You know what I mean? And so it's really an interesting thing that the contestants have to go through. And then they have dinner out, which was a good training lesson by Jillian and Bob. And we see Jillian and Bob giving them a lot of information. Rebecca had a good line there. She talked about you're going through so much change so fast. Thought that was really interesting. Got some behind the scenes info on that as well, so check into the second video. Then of course we had the challenge. On the challenge you're supposed to hang on to these rings up in the air as the platform gets to nearly vertical. And so whenever there's a challenge, you've got to put your money on 2 people. Daniel and Alan. Now Alan has been a fire department, he's a fireman, and so he's, if a life was on the line in this challenge, I put my money on him. But since a life isn't on the line, I'm going to put my money on those 2. And sure enough, at the end, Daniel ends up holding on, does an amazing job. Him and Shay, they actually get immunity, which is great. Daniel stays an extra week longer than he did last season, and Shay is guaranteed to stay a little bit longer. Of course, in the weigh-in, they're not going to drop any weight. You know that. And so then we go from there to the actual last, I meant to say this. I thought Daniel looked so cute hanging up there with his little belly hanging out. Anyway, I'm sorry, side note. And so then we go to the last chance workout with Jillian. We see Mo working out really hard to the point to where he feels like he can't work out anymore, like he hurt his back, and then he gets back into the gym after being talked to by Bob and goes back and gets back on the recumbent bike. There's something to that. You've got to think about, recently somebody asked me, how do I know how hard to work out, without getting injured? And I've got some things to say about that, but I'll give that to you in the extra spiel. Here I just want to say he does a great job by getting back in the gym, because you're not going to change by staying the same. You know what I mean? You think about that. And so he does a great job by getting back into the gym. Then we got the weigh-in. At the weigh-in, of course, we see that this is an all right week. All right, not great, not spectacular numbers, except for the big fella. And they better get Rudy out of there, because he's on a roll. He is really on a roll. And so, but in the weigh-in, we've got the brown team with Liz and Danny. They drop below the yellow line. And then we've got the black team with Julio, who dropped below the yellow line. It could not be any worse for these contestants because, they're integrated with each other. They're like a close-knit family. And so Mo and Julio are really close friends. And then we see Tracy and Liz are roommates, and so it makes it really heart-jerking or tear-jerking and heart-tugging for these contestants to go through the weigh-in. In the end, they end up sending Julio home, and lots of great tears. I thought I was going to make it through an episode. without hearing about other people crying, but that was really, 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 really rough. And so next week, another special week, but this week, Julio goes home. He's doing great. He's got a love of food, so he's teaching his family how to eat, and so tune in next week. And remember, there's a winner within you. Check out the website at winningman.com. Have an awesome week. We'll talk to you soon.